Welcome to FX Masterclass, and my name is Ernest Rowe, and this topic is to reassemble the FX crown. All right, let's get to it. First, here's the action, and we're going to reinstall cocking and lever mechanism. When you put this back in, just do a quick, wipe down and inspect for kind of wear and tear. And make sure the lever, doesn't bind, not too loose. The spring is intact. And you're gonna lightly lube it. I use the same silicone what I use in an O-ring, but also you gotta inspect the bore, make sure there's no wear and tear from the hammer getting in there. Just gotta clean it up good. All right. Usually, this is very reliable, nothing really breaks on it. The cocking pin is really, really small. I mean, short, so if you accidentally hit it, it doesn't break, all right? If you do accidentally shoot it with the cocking handle, partially open, you're going to hit the hammer. Here's a Okay, this is the old hammer. I inspected this earlier. There's a couple of dings here from the hammer striking the cocking pin. And there's a couple of raised spots. Most of the time you can reuse this as long as you get the high spots off. If it's too high, it's gonna bind inside the chamber, a cavity where it goes in. And it's gonna be a rough cock in it. So make sure there's no high spot and it's smooth. All right, usually I just replace it. Get a new one here. All right, we're going to slide the cocking mechanism into the action. Prior to doing that, there's a little hole here with a spring. There's a 3mm ball bearing that goes in there. Just sits right there. And kind of hold it in place. Kind of give it a little lube. All right, slide in like that. When you're up to the ball bearing, you kind of press it into the spring while you're shoving it in, aligning it to the action, and it goes in. It just gives it more smooth, feels like in a roll bearing. Keeps everything kind of snug and tight. All right, then put your probe in. And where's that little set screw? You don't have to tighten it real tight, just snug. All right, just cycle it, make sure it's smooth. All right, you can't really cycle till we put the pin in. Actually, pin. We have to get a longer piece like this. Push a pin out, left it in there, but kind of start the pin, align the hole on a lever here, where the pin goes in, kind of. All right. The pin bottoms out in the shoulder, so it doesn't go all the way through. What keeps it in place is a little set screw. 4.5 mil. Just snug. All right, then we'll cycle again. Feels good. Now we're going to install the hammer, the spring, a hammer spring adjuster, and your little linkage here for your adjusting the fine-tune the spring tension on a hammer. All right, make sure your hammer is not damaged. If it's damaged, in a way, damage is when you have the cocking lever partially open and you want to shoot, and it's going to hit the cocking pin, and it's going to hit the hammer here, and it's going to be like raised lips on it. Usually, that raised lip is high enough; it's going to gouge the action inside where it's chambered. So you can use it again, just kind of, you know, fly down flush, sand it, make it smooth. All right. You can say that if the shear actually grabs this end here, if it's not too damaged, the shear will actually engage. If it doesn't quite catch, there's so many damaged dings on here, I might as well replace the whole hammer. All right. Usually it goes like that. Gotta make sure spring is nice and clean. If I were you, it's best to get all those where the spring was grounded down, cut. There's a lot of sharp ends on it. I would smooth that out on both ends and clean it. And if you're gonna loop this, it's best to keep it dry, because if you had lube in there, it will cause a drag. It's not gonna, you know, it will cause a drag. It won't cycle as fast. It's more consistent, dry. All right. Hairspring adjuster. This slot here has it face up with this rail, bore, sliding like that. All right. Then you'll see the slot for this to go in. And it goes flush like that. And to keep this from, you know, falling out like that, there's a set screw there. Keeps it in place. In the back here is a small set screw. It's 1x5. And you don't really tighten it down because it's really small set screw. If you strip that, you're trying to get it out, boy, have fun getting that screw out. All right, and no longer gonna fall out. All right, now we're gonna put in the shear and trigger assembly. First one to go in is your shear. You gotta know the orientation when you remove this. Usually it's like that, and the spring is gonna sit on this little raised lip. The spring is gonna sit like that. All right, so it goes in like this. Can I hold in position, and you wanna push this pin here, the rear pin, trying to fish it into this hole. And easiest to do it is have a little bit sticking out so you can guide part of the hole into that pin. When it's partially in, kind of tap it. And you get something soft, doesn't gouge it to finish, and push the rest of it in, kind of flush. Get something up there. Then you have your pin stop, prevent from shear from over traveling. Kind of push it flush. kind of rubberized here, so I'm not going to gouge up the action. Now, the whole trigger assembly is held by this one pin here, most forward one. Now, first thing you'll line is the spring into that shear. All right. And next one, this half moon, has to line with this pin. There you go. Push it flush. All right, we're gonna test it out. Well, it's easier to test here while it's stock. Then you got to take all the stuff off just to test it out. As you can see, there's no second stage. Just second stage, you got to push on this, the bigger one with the spring-loaded ball on there. Usually, there's a 2 mil. Kind of screw it in. If, like what I'm having here, it's real easy to turn. If I had Loctite here, I use a blue one. I mean, use a little teeny bit, because when you adjust it, you don't feel like taking back out when you get set it perfect. You screw it in so you have a second stage. Right there. Okay. We're going to adjust the first stage. Kind of long for me, but let's see. It's the most forward one. Just going to screw it in a little bit. You screw it in, it'll shorten it. You can adjust this while you're holding your finger here. The cocking lever open, screw it in. You can see it shorten up. It goes back. Slight creep. If you want to minimize the creep, screw it in a little bit. You can do it another way. You screw it pretty far in, then it's really hard to turn. So let's go back. See when it's sticking like that, you got to push it to reset. Yes, I'm losing my screws there. Just screw it out, counterclockwise. There's no second stage anymore. Go back in. You have it. So now it springs back, and there's hardly no creep on it. Oh, there's a little bit. You're getting close. There you go. Looks pretty clean. You can fine tune it later when actually in a shooting position. Close your eyes and you really feel it then. All right, we'll check the safety later after it's on into the stock. All right, now we're going to install a valve assembly. Here we got a new valve. The O-ring here is 7 by 1.5. It's not in a schematic. I don't know why we're going to update it, but it's 7 by 1.5. Diameter 70. Kind of lube it up. When you're looking down there, make sure it's clean. All right, we got a little tool here to hold it in place while we position the valve into the action where it sits. You kind of make a circular motion, you kind of guide yourself in there. And I felt it go in. If you go like this, it'll go in there nicely. You don't want to push it so hard and you hear a snap. That means it's like a guillotine. You're not going to nick that O-ring. So nice and slow, go in a circular motion and nice even pressure, and it'll just go into place. All right, just look in there and verify. And your valve pin, O-ring here. This is a 1.5 by 1 mil, all right? Duro 70. This little O-ring here is prevent blowback. So when a hammer hits here, it opens, and this seals the bore. Because this goes inside a bore and travels in and out. This O-ring seals the bore. So when it fires, it doesn't go out to the rear here. If that O-ring goes out, when you shoot, there's little holes on the side, it would blow right there. All right? That's the first thing. If it blows on the side, you gotta replace this O-ring here. All right, let's try not push this in one assembly. We got a spring. Then you got your spring retainer. Keeps the spring from moving around, keeps it centered. What seals the rear of the pin is this O-ring. It's like 2 by 5 by 1, I believe. 2 by 5 by 1.5. Hardness 90, with the Browner 90. And you gotta clean this and probably lube it, silicone. Kind of cycle it. It has a nice spring back to it. Now, if push it in and it binds, there's something wrong here, so you need to investigate that. Usually it goes like that. When it fires, it goes like this. All right? If that O-ring back here leaks, it will blow out this little hole here. That 2.5 by 1.5, it will blow right there. All right, this O-ring is also brand new. It's 11.6 by 2.4, Duro 70. This one right here. So we're gonna, it's better, I like to hold in this position. I just want to get this part inside a bore and everything else all aligned. And making sure it does go in, you'll see half the pin is going to block this hole here. The end of the pin. It's already there, and don't force it. If you don't see the head of the pin in that hole and it's seizing up on you, just don't force it. There's something wrong. It's not aligning right. Not very tight, just snugly. There, the valve is in. All right, now we're going to put the bottle adapter. Usually, you know, if this wasn't leaking, you can reuse it as an M12 or as an M20. It's a metal seal. Usually, if it looks good, all the way around, it's not cracked or anything, you can put it back in. All right, to be safe, I usually put 1 drop Loctite here, right, and screw it in. Because if you damage these threads here and the bottle, it kind of jams right here, and you're trying to back it out. If this wasn't Loctite, it could back out from the action, not from the bottle. All right, so to be safe, Loctite it in with the blue Loctite. And get a big wrench and torque it down pretty tight. All right, next one, we'll flip it over. We're gonna put the regulator in. I already pre-installed the O-ring after I inspected and cleaned it. Your piston is already in position. All the spring washer, you know, I got 16. Sometimes there's 15, but I like to match them up evenly at 16, and it seems to work just fine and stable at a higher reg pressure, around 150. So 16 is okay. And this O-ring here is 4 by 1.5. There's 16. It's a brand new piston. All right. Usually there's a little tool here, make sure everything's aligned. When I put it in there, it's critical because there's a bore where this piston goes in, and it's kind of a blind spot when you put this the body in, and it compresses the springs. If this bore, this piston is not in the bore and it's nicking the edge, you will damage this part here, and you have to replace the whole thing. All right, that's ready to go. And also, there's a 9 by 1.5 O-ring inside the bore here where the regulator goes in. You gotta replace that. Clean underneath the O-ring sealing surface, make sure it's all clean, and then reinstall that O-ring. All right, when we put it in, lube it. All right. Like I said, circular motion. Right. See it snap that time? Throw a little more pressure. Since this tool has a tension on it, you need to keep it in place while you pull the tool out. You use a Q-tip here or anything soft, and you remove the tool. Verify the washer is in position. All right, now you put the body in. There's a new O-ring on here. All right, and another 4 by 1.5 inside here. Make sure everything's all clean. Oop. This only snug now when it bottoms out. That's it. Then we got new 2x1 O-rings on your reg adjustment screw. You make sure it's not damaged on the end here. Don't have a strip head. I'm gonna put them in. I like to do it again. You're gonna lightly bottom it out. Lightly like you know, right there, stop. Now you gotta back it out, let's say 1.5 turns.